afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Hope everybody had a spectacular weekend. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo's virtual meeting, featuring our very own Tim Harrington, Executive Director of the Ability Center. But first, I'd like to ask Pat Sheehan to deliver a reflection and Kathy Tate to lead us as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, as we gather today, we acknowledge we are going through some dark days. COVID-19 has ravaged the world, and here at home, we face additional challenges on the political front. We ask that you grant our scientists, healthcare workers, supply chain experts, and political leaders with guidance and wisdom to lead us to better days. And please give each of us the resolve to be agents of hope and healers of pain. Today, we thank you for bringing us one of our own, Tim Harrington, as he tells us the amazing story of the Ability Center and its vision for the future of our community. Tim and his team are a good reminder that we have much to be thankful for. Please bless our fellowship today. In your name we pray.
I pledge
Amen.
allegiance
Amen.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Kathy. And now I'd like to introduce or invite George Eistetter, past President George Eistetter, to lead us in the four-way test. George?
As you know, you repeat each sentence after I say it. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned?
Is it
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much, everybody.
Nice work, George. Thank you. Just a couple of updates, a few updates actually. I'd like to congratulate Mike George on his new position as Executive Director of Jenacross Lutheran Services Foundation. Check out the write-up in last Thursday's Spoke if you haven't already. And congratulations, Mike. I also want to congratulate our club for exceeding our foundation challenge and hitting 57% of club donor participation. Our challenge was to have 50% of our members contribute to our campaign this year and receive a $10,000 contribution from an anonymous donor. Thank you, Toledo Rotarians. Your donations directly impact the club's ability to provide funding and to participate in all types of community service projects, where we directly put service above self into action. One of those projects was the Habitat for Humanity build spearheaded by our Vocational Services Committee and Rotarian Kurt Church, who is this year's Peace Services Chair. We partnered with 4 other Rotary clubs in our district, and our foundation provided $10,000 in funding to assist in the remodel. Habitat shared the home dedication ceremony with us via video. Thank you, Walt, for a quick edit of this. So let's roll the video.
Good afternoon, everyone. Habitat for Humanity, our vision statement is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Today, we took 3 giant steps closer to that vision. So thank you for joining us here today. My name is Mike McIntyre. I have the pleasure of emceeing this wonderful dedication for Kelly and Elijah and Isaiah. So what we're celebrating is the incredible support we had from our community and primarily the local Rotaries from the community. So what I mean by that is Maumee Rotary, Reynolds Corners, Springfield, Holland, Sylvania, in Toledo, in Waterville. They were all part of this wonderful project to help raise funds and be the hands-on support in a year that was like no other. We know that it was like no other. And we also know that it was difficult for volunteers to come out and help build this, but we got it done.
Hi, I'm Kurt Church, and I'm representing the Toledo Rotary Foundation and the Toledo Rotary Club. I was here on June 15th as a volunteer to help Miss Davis start this project. I'm so happy to be here as she gets her keys. The Toledo Rotary Club and all Rotary Clubs foundation is service above self, and I'm happy to be here to represent that of our club and all the other clubs already mentioned. When you get yourself a home, you're able to create memories, create some financial stability, and with all that comes with, especially with two boys and the new skills that you've learned with habitat and construction and plumbing and HVAC and electrical, you've bought yourself a project, and you'll be able to use all that new knowledge in investing in yourself and investing in your family, saving your money. Congratulations, here are the keys to your house, and I'm so happy that you got in before the holidays.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Again, thank you for your donations to the foundation that makes this possible. And now here to talk about another service project that's currently underway is Community Services Chair Kelly Trame to tell us about the continuation of the Styrofoam recycling project. Kelly?
Hey, Toledo Rotary, I gotta tell you, what a way to step up. We've already completed 3 of the 6 pickups for recycling. And I was at the one on Saturday at the Girl Scout office, and we overflowed our bin. It's a flatbed truck, and it overflowed with styrofoam that I had to load stuff up into my car. My husband was surprised when he saw me come home with a boatload of styrofoam. And Adam Cassie had too. So we'll be taking it ourselves to keep Toledo Lucas County beautiful on Saturday. But in case you haven't had a chance to get in on the fun, there are 3 more dates to drop off recycling. We have it on January 13th at the Ottawa Hills Municipal Building. We're also looking for a little bit more help on the shifts of 11:30 to 1:30 for January 15th. That's at the Waterville Kroger. And January 16th at Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful. That's on Matzinger Road. If you can help out with any of those shifts, please get onto the Rotary website, register, and I can't wait to see you out there. Thanks all. It's been a great project. I'm just so proud and pumped for our club. And if you want to take part in our committee, we have the best committee that there is on the club, just being prejudiced there. Anyway, come on in. We have a meeting right after this club. That's all I got. Thanks, President Alex.
Thank you, Kelly. I actually did a shift last Wednesday in Sylvania at the Kroger, behind the Kroger at King and Sylvania. And it was kind of fun taking out some aggression, breaking up the styrofoam, fitting it into the boxes. We too had all the boxes filled on the trailer. And it was actually very enjoyable because a lot of the residents around were glad that we were recycling styrofoam rather than putting the styrofoam into the landfill. So again, very, very rewarding project. Thank you, Kelly and the Community Services Committee. And now, finally, here is Rotarian and Foundation Chair Mary Mancini to introduce today's speaker, Tim Harrington, the Executive Director of the Ability Center, which the Toledo Rotary Club started 100 years ago. Mary?
I'm very happy to be able to introduce today a gentleman who I think has been my friend for almost 18 years. We first started working together on projects when he was the new executive director of the Ability Center. Tim has a business BS in business administration and has been involved with the Ability Center since childhood, first as a recipient of services, a volunteer and employee. He has served as camp director, recreation inclusion specialist, director of housing services, and development director. And since 2000, he has been the executive director of the Ability Center of Greater Toledo. He has spearheaded the center's vision to make Toledo the most disability-friendly community in the country. He has been a featured speaker nationally on disability and inclusion. Tim served on the Board of Trustees of Toledo Children's Hospital and as an advisory member for the Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation. Tim was the National Rehabilitation Association's E.B. Whitten Award winner for his advocacy and leadership to promote opportunities for people with disabilities. He was recently presented the Ray of Hope Award for his community leadership by the Sylvania Area Family Services. Now, this is usually the time when I would say, ladies and gentlemen, may we please have a warm Rotary welcome for Rotarian Tim Harrington. However, the way we're doing our meetings now makes that quite difficult. So I would like to suggest that we do something that other organizations have done. Certainly, you see it with the governor's newscasts and broadcasts, where we use sign language instead of talking. So sign language for applause is this. So how about if we give a warm Rotary welcome to Tim Harrington?
Thank you, Mary. And thank you, fellow Rotarians. This has been one heck of a year to celebrate a centennial. And what we hope to do is looking forward to next year, doing a 100+1 event to celebrate our centennial. You know, Rotary has been with us since the day we were born. And what I'd like to do is show you a brief 6-minute video of that history.
Every story has a beginning. Ours begins with a tragedy that led a devastated father to undertake a lifelong and life-changing mission. A mission that would lead to a discovery, a recognition of a great unmet need, and a desire to find an innovative solution. On Memorial Day 1907, 17-year-old Homer Allen was one of 9 who would die from a streetcar accident in downtown Elyria, Ohio. They said at the time he could have survived had there been adequate medical treatment nearby. His devastated father, Elyria businessman Edgar Allen, would spearhead the building of Elyria Memorial Hospital. As treasurer and volunteer, he walked the halls daily and became friends with Jimmy Bodek, an 8-year-old orphan with polio. Edgar wondered how many other Jimmys were out there. He found hundreds of them in every Ohio county, crippled children like Jimmy who were hidden away, underserved. No prosthetics, no rehabilitation, no education, no future. Allen developed a plan to help, but it would take good people, a lot of them, to make it work. Enter Rotary, a fledgling organization of upstanding businessmen with clubs expanding across the country and throughout Ohio, looking for ways to serve. In September of 1915, the Rotary Club of Toledo made it official. They would make service and support of crippled children their primary cause. And within 3 years, they would change the life of one young man and set an example that would inspire Rotarians around the world to take up the same cause, service to disabled children.
Rotary has been part of the Ability Center since our inception.
In December 1920, Toledo Rotary created the Toledo Society for Crippled Children, whose mission was to build and operate a convalescent home to serve children of Northwest Ohio and their families. Over the next decade, men like Frank Mulholland and Charles Spielbach would champion the effort, and in the summer of 1931, with part of a $50,000 boost from the estate of Edward Drummond Libby, the Society opened its first hospital, leasing the Old Ladies' Home on the corner of Central and Collingwood. Though functional, that location was never intended as a permanent solution. So Rotarians and the Society continued to raise funds and make plans for a larger, more efficient facility. With the help of more than 1,400 civic leaders and volunteers, this dream was realized in March of 1938 with the opening of what came to be called Opportunity Home on Central Avenue, a rehabilitation center and convalescent home dedicated strictly to serving children with disabilities, the second of its kind in the nation, made possible by understanding people. With 2 classrooms and 2 full-time teachers, this home also provided a teaching component through the Toledo Board of Education for children dealing with the lengthy rehabilitative process associated with polio.
First, I was in the contagious disease hospital for 2 weeks, and then was moved to the Crippled Children's Home for 3 more months.
And remember, we weren't really sick at that point. You're just convalescent. So we could tear around, actually.
With the widespread success of the Salk vaccine in 1955, the population at Opportunity Home began to decline. The Society needed a redefining purpose. By 1963, the facility and grounds were sold off. In 1965, the Society became a kindergarten for children with disabilities, operating out of the Libby Mansion. In its first class was a little boy who would grow up to lead the organization into its 2nd century of service. In 1976, laws changed and children began to be mainstreamed into public schools. The Toledo Society for Crippled Children became the Toledo Society for the Handicapped, serving both children and adults. Soon ground would be broken for a new facility on Monroe Street in Sylvania. In 1989, the Society became the Ability Center of Greater Toledo, a powerful advocate and trendsetter, developing the tools and programs necessary to take the organization and the community it serves undauntedly into a bright and positive future. Today's Ability Center moves into our 2nd century of service by asking, what would it take to make Toledo and Northwest Ohio the most accessible and disability-friendly community in the country? Dedicating our future path to this type of endeavor honors our 100-year history of service to others. It honors the vision and efforts of the men and women who long ago dreamed us into existence and guided us over the decades. Finally, and most importantly, it honors the lives and advocacy of people with disabilities we have supported from the beginning, and whose wisdom we continue to seek, to learn from, and be inspired by as we move forward.
Thank you. What a tribute to Toledo Rotary. Such a great history, and we thank you for your support. In giving an overview of our services today, we are heavily involved in working with youth to make the transition from high school to adulthood. Our leadership programs instill a sense of confidence in folks who are often met with low expectations. Our expectation is that every kid will have a plan for success. And we know that youth who work and have disabilities will be adults who work and have disabilities. So we're committed to making sure that all of our kids have a track forward. The Ability Center has taken very seriously our role in being the voice of the disability community. We have been recognized for that work, both on the state and national level. And recently were presented a resolution by the Ohio Senate for our work with them. When we say that the Ability Center is a phone call away, that's exactly what we mean. Every year we have 7,500 new individuals call our center for information on disability-related topics. All Rotarians are welcome to call us for any type of information they need, and we will surely help. Our Independent Living Skilled program helps people prepare for the move to independence. Whether it's learning how to cook or balancing a checkbook, there are numerous classes available to help people get ready to go. And of course, our Assistance Dogs program is a program that we merged with in 2011. This program relies heavily on volunteers to help us raise up these puppies and get them ready for service. Currently, we have 120 dogs that are working in the community. This picture shows Mr. Tom Dussel, a Maumee Rotarian who throughout his life had difficulty walking. And a couple of years ago, I said, Tom, let's get you a dog. And here's Tom working with his dog as she retrieves the mail for him in Maumee. Last year, we opened the Payne Family Canine Training Center. This is an 8,000 square foot building specifically for training our dogs and working with individuals who are going to obtain the dogs. We also house Agility Angels in this building, which is a program specifically for individuals with autism. Our community living center provides those things that allow people to remain in the community. Our assistive technology and medical equipment center provides free medical equipment to individuals who could not otherwise afford it. Our relationship with Rotary Mesa allowed us to trade back inventories with them so that we always have a ready supply. Our home accessibility program provides ramps and minor home modifications to individuals who are low income. We do about 120 jobs a year with 3 licensed carpenters as our builders. And we have relationships with organizations like Area Office on Aging, where we know that if we can keep falls from happening, then we can keep seniors safe. And here's a woman with low-rise steps. Here's a young man with one of our tablets that we loaned out to him so his parents could try out different products before they die. You know, when we came across the centennial, we wanted to do something significant, where churches may build a new building or hospitals may expand to celebrate 100 years. I sat down with my board and we decided to ask the question, what would it take for Toledo to be the most accessible, disability-friendly community in the country? And this is what we think it might look like.
A disability-friendly community is an inclusive community, one that provides accessible and affordable resources for its citizens. It's a place that values our differences, sees and develops ability, designs systems that prioritize people, and creates opportunities that allow everyone to live up to their fullest potential. A disability-friendly community has decided that our needs can and will be met. When that happens, it becomes known as a community that cares. People want to live here, work here, belong here. A disability-friendly community matters because doing well and being well becomes an option for everyone.
So the Rotary has had a history of helping folks with disabilities in Toledo. And we would be remiss if we didn't remember and thank those Rotarians that have supported our agency's mission. Here you will see Rotarians who served on the board of the Ability Center. At one time, all board members of the Ability Center were Rotarians. Obviously, our histories go way back. And we thank Rotarians who have come out and built ramps with us. The Rotary has been very generous in sponsoring our ramp program. And it's when you get boots on the ground that people really understand the benefits of what we do. We want to thank Rotarians for supporting Working Better Together. This project will reemerge at the end of the pandemic, and we thank Goodwill, Epilepsy, and LOT for joining us in this effort. We also thank Jack Hollister and Rick Marshall for their support of the program. We thank Rotarians Hunt Sears, Cindy Bankley, and Tom Fry for sitting on the board of the Lot Conlon Foundation. They worked tirelessly to see that Secor Metro Park had an accessible playground. It's a beautiful playground. thanks to them. We thank Rotarians for their generous support of the accessible garden at Toledo Botanical Garden. Generous Rotarians individually reached out and helped to get that done. And we thank a fellow Rotarian who has supported our endeavor with the Art Museum to make the Art Museum more accessible for all in our community. And there will be an announcement of this new venture later this month. So thank you all very much. What we want to do lastly is to introduce you to our resources for you. So if you go to the Ability Center webpage, you will find resources that are a click away that will allow organizations and businesses to learn more about issues concerning disabilities, becoming a partner in our work together, explore disability awareness training, and that help us become a more disability-friendly community. Here you see all the topics that are covered in our toolkit. So thank you again. Here's a whole section on employment and the work that Rotary does with working better together and what that program will become.
Tim, are we good to open up for questions at this time?
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your presentation and for all the great work you do in the community. Yeah, Mary Mancini said it right. So we see a lot of folks in the club doing this right now. So thank you very much. We're gonna open up for questions for folks in the club. As we have done in the past, you can ask your question either by typing it into the chat or sending me a message through chat, or you can raise your hand through the participant tab. Our first question goes to Mike George. Mike, you are on. Go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead.
Great. Hey, Tim, thank you and your organization for all you've done. My question is, what do you think is the area that needs the most work right now? You've seen things change over the years. Is there an area you feel that we as a community are lagging in?
I mean, Mike, most of the curb cuts have been done. So the real low-hanging fruit have really been accomplished well. We want to thank those visionary people who involved the disability community in building Mud Hen Stadium and the Huntington Center, having us at the table before the blueprints are done, has made those facilities some of the most accessible facilities in the country. Moving forward, we are anxious to see folks move into the workplace. You know, we have a choice here with folks with disabilities. We can either put them on a pathway to employment, or we put them on a pathway to a lifetime of entitlement. And so our wish would be that we as a community really get serious about making sure that people have jobs that match their skills.
Excellent. While we're waiting for other questions to come in, Tim, I hear rumor that while you haven't been involved with the Ability Center for all 100 years, I think you have been involved for a good chunk of the history. Can you just tell the club a little bit of, your relationship with the Ability Center over the years prior to, as an employee? What has the Ability Center done for you and your family?
Well, I mean, going back to when I was 5 years old, this organization provided guidance and encouragement to my parents, as we have to hundreds of parents who are faced with the unexpected arrival of a child with a disability. And it's our role to make sure that when we're dealing with parents, that they understand that although others may see this as the most devastating situation a family could come about, that we have hope and a vision for every child, regardless of their disabilities.
All right, next question is past President Tim Ryan. Tim, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, and you are on.
There, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Well, great presentation, Tim. By the way, I do miss the dogs being present. I thought that was great last year. But my question is there a recognized system to rank Toledo's position with other communities in terms of being friendly to people with disabilities? Is there a ranking system?
We're going to build it. There is not a ranking system, but in order to claim the title of being the most disability-friendly community, we're going to build the criteria for getting that done.
Any examples as to how you might do it? I like the idea.
No, I think, physical accessibility would be part of it. Involvement of government and knowledge of government about the barriers and how they can be part of the solution would be another. Economic viability, how many folks with disabilities are working in the community. Access to accessible housing and looking at the housing stock. The other thing to understand is that we have significant alignment with the area office on aging, because whether you like it or not, age takes hold, and the likelihood is that one day you're going to be not able to get around like you used to. So those issues of keeping folks, seniors, in their homes is really important. The last thing somebody wants to do who's lived in a home for 40 years is to be uprooted and moved. So, making accessibility modifications, helping people get home delivered food, all of those things make for a disability-friendly community.
I think I muted the past president at the wrong time there. All right, next question is going to Janet Hales. Janet, you can unmute yourself and you are on.
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much. I had the pleasure of working with you on a fair housing case many years ago when I was in private practice. But my question is, what are some things that individual employers can do to promote the hiring of people with disabilities? And then how do they increase the feeling of inclusivity once they are hired?
Call us, let us get involved. You know, we do a disability awareness training, which is really valuable in getting an organization thinking about bringing folks on. And then, of course, we have pathways and community connections of people with disabilities who are looking to work. So we can be the connector on that front. And again, I'll remind you that we have a pretty rich toolbox for employees for employers on our website that I encourage you to check out.
And I'll make sure I post the link to that toolkit into the chat so everybody has that as well. Mari Davies, you are up next.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Mari.
I know I wish John were here to listen to you because, you know, he was so passionate about being involved with the Ability Center. And if I get a chance this week, I will share this video from outside his dining room window. I'll just hold my phone up so he can at least watch part of it. With the spike in diagnosed cases of young people on the spectrum and autism, what is your relationship with various autism organizations? Is there a collaborative process undergoing at this point? What does that all look like?
Well, first, Mari, you know, there is no room in this community for organizations that are not collaborating. So I mean, our Agility Angel program brings on, you know, dozens of folks on the spectrum to learn to work with agility dogs. We also have a relationship with the Avenues for Autism, where we are talking to them about their school program, transition program, and how we can work better together. So you're absolutely right that the autism numbers are pretty overwhelming, and lots of folks need help.
Okay.
Tim, can you just take a minute and talk, you know, I know it's a wide footprint, but for folks that may not understand, you know, when you work with folks with disabilities, what exactly does that entail? Because, you know, we've seen through your presentation, you know, some, you know, physical disabilities that maybe we can see. We just talked about autism that maybe sometimes you can't see. Talk a little bit about the scope of the folks that you work with.
Anyone that identifies themselves as a person with a disability is eligible for Ability Center services. So it is the entire spectrum of folks that we're required to serve. We know that in some cases when we're talking about being able to prescribe meds and those such of things, that other organizations are better suited. So instead of taking a lead on a particular case, we may share it with another organization. But anyone is eligible that identifies themselves as a person with a disability.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. All right, Gary Murphy. Murph, you're up next.
Okay. Hey, Tim, great presentation. Thank you. I'm wondering about your staff. How do you find the people? How many people are there? And what are their specific knowledge points that make them a good fit for your organization?
Okay. Let me back up to say, starting with the board, as a Center for Independent Living, which an organization like ours is defined as, a majority of our board members must be persons with disabilities. So at least 51%. And what that does is it provides an immediacy to the issues faced by the community because they're also faced by board members. The next step is that this is an organization that is supposed to be run by and staffed by individuals with disabilities. So we have a number of individuals here who identify themselves as persons with disabilities who are coming to us with bachelor's and master's degrees that fit into our various program areas, primarily those areas that are frontline customer service. They're the ones that take care of our consumers. And we have 50 staff.
Excellent. Tim, another question came in regarding your location, your campus. Talk a little bit about the campus, but also kind of how that location was selected and kind of what you see as the future of that location.
Okay. Going back to our Rotary roots, back in the early 60s, the board, again, who were primarily Rotarians, started looking at this Sylvania property as an option for the center's future. This property is 17 acres. It is located on Monroe Street. The property was bought and held since 1963. And we built our building in 1980. Since then, we have 3 other buildings on the campus. And probably will stay put for a while because we have a lot of years.
Question came up, and I swear I'm not the one asking this one. How do you guys raise money?
Our funding, our funding path runs the spectrum of development options. So we run anywhere from a supporting organization that helps us maintain our stability in the community, federal grants, state grants, local grants, fee for service for some of our projects, annual campaigns, and a women's auxiliary that supports us through their events. So we are not, our goal is to not be so reliant on one source of dollars that a change in that market could tip the center. We are not overly dependent on any one source.
Okay, and we've got, I think, one last question. We're going to go to Dr. Shanta Gore. Dr. Gore, go ahead.
So Tim, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. It just fantastic. Have you been consulted with concerning the disbursement of the vaccine? And then because there's such a push for those on IEPs to go back into the classroom, I'm hearing 4 out of 5 days, meeting the needs of an IEP, but at the same time being medically fragile, many of them. What are your thoughts? I see the health department is mentioning about some conditions, but not all conditions are covered. So have you been consulted with, and then what are your thoughts on it?
Wow. Let me begin by saying that we were blessed to be invited to the table of the Hospital Association of Northwest Ohio to help them look at their policies regarding distribution of the vaccine. We know that there's blips along the way in this process, but we also know a number of folks with disabilities who have already gotten the vaccines. So there's a real push to get vulnerable folks shot first. With regard to the whole issue of kids in schools, you know, for a lot of kids with disabilities, that the rehabilitation or the accommodation of their disabilities takes place in the school. So whether you're talking about therapies that are delivered at school, if you're talking about behavior mod that's being delivered at school, for instance, those kids with autism are really struggling with homeschooling, with the home instructions. So we have not been consulted, but we also know that parents are very concerned about any lapses in therapies due to the school schedules.
Excellent. Tim, thank you very much. Thank you for the incredible presentation today and all the work you're doing in the community. At this time, we're going to pass it back to President Alex.
Okay. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for a heartwarming and informative presentation on your 100th anniversary. I also want to say that I'm really impressed with the fact that, or with the way Craig Roberts is just tossing around that drill like he knows what he's doing. So as our gift to you, Tim, we're going to send you another well-known book in Toledo, because I'm sure you probably have a few. Historical Tales of Toledo, authored by Rotarian past President Clint Mock. And we'll be making another donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name. Thank you again for joining us today, Tim. What a fantastic presentation. Also, I was so excited to bring Tim up to present. I forgot to announce our weekly sponsor, Bright View Health. And thank you, Rotarian Jean Grease. Okay, so as usual, we'll invite past President Chuck Mann up for Chuck's Chuckles. Chuck had evidently some jokes he wanted to bring on early, and we just had to hold him back. So hopefully you're ready for us, Chuck.
As usual, President Alex, that's one step away from inevitable. Okay, here we go. Letizia, Linda, Fabrizio, Francesco, Giorgio, and Roberto Giannini were born in Italy on this date in 1980. They were the second set of sextuplets in the world to survive past infancy. Around the same time, here in the USA, Earl and his pregnant wife lived on a farm in a rural area in the Carolinas. No running water, no electricity, etc. Late one night, the local doctor arrived just in time as Earl's wife begins to deliver her first baby. "What do you want me to do, doctor?" "Hold the lantern, Earl. Here it comes." The doctor delivers the child and holds it up for the proud father to see. "Earl, you're the proud father of a fine, strapping boy." "Glory be, Before the doctor can finish, the doctor interrupts. Wait a minute. Hold the lantern, Earl." Soon the doctor delivers the next child. "You've got a full set, Earl, a beautiful baby daughter." Thanks be again, the doctor cuts in. Hold the lantern, Earl, hold the lantern. Soon the doctor delivers a third child. The doctor holds the baby up for Earl's inspection. The doctor leans down, Earl leans down to the doctor and says, "Doctor, do you think it might be the light that's attracting them?" President Alex.
Okay, Mary, thank you for that little cue. Now we all know how to applaud virtually. All right, thanks, Chuck. Okay, so next Monday, January 18th, no meeting in honor of, I believe it's Martin Luther King weekend, Martin Luther King Day. The following Monday, January 25th, we have Rotarian Bert Logan of the Ohio Historical Society. So just information about some committee meetings. The program committee actually met earlier before this meeting at 10:45 with a continued focus on excellent and relevant programs for our virtual meetings. And after today's meeting, we have two meetings. Community services and vocational services. And I believe we are done today. Everybody have a great week. We're adjourned.